The off-season coverage for your Chicago Bulls continues. On today's episode, we got to talk about Nikola Vucevic. Could he be on the move this offseason for your Chicago Bulls? I know we're going to talk about it and break it down, but you got to hear the music first.
Cognac. Gang.
Shy Boys Podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on today's daily episode. If you're tuned in with me today, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. Now, look. Bleacher Report went ahead and reported, and they proposed a trade for Nikola Vucevic to be sent out of Chicago. The destination of choice by the said person from Bleacher Report says that Nikola Vucevic should be headed to Memphis, the Memphis Grizzlies. The trade consists of Nikola Vucevic being traded for Zaire Williams and Luke Kennard. What do you guys think about that one? I think it's a very intriguing trade. Something I don't know if you absolutely want to do, but it's something that will definitely have you thinking. Now, when you talk about Nikola Vucevic, for his career, former all-star, double-double type of guy for the Chicago Bulls, still that double-double guy, 17, 18 points per game and averaging about 10, 11 rebounds in the last few years that he's been with the Chicago Bulls. And I know that a lot of us, including myself, has grown to not really like Nikola Vucevic in the way that we believe he should be fitting with the Chicago Bulls team. There were plenty of times where we're questioning him on the offensive side on like, what the hell are you doing? Especially with Zach LaVine going down this past season, you had questions, or at least for me, expectations to see Nikola Vucevic kind of ramp up his points per game totals. They pretty much stayed the same. Then you talk about the defensive end of Nikola Vucevic, and you kind of look at him and was like, look, we know he's not a great defender, but damn, can you at least try? That's been something else that has came up as well, at least from me. So when you bring up this trade, I think it's a very intriguing trade because not only do you get yourself an opportunity to start looking at restructuring that 5 spot for the Chicago Bulls, but you're also going to get in a 3-point specialist in Luke Kennard. Zaire Williams is a guy, a young guy. We don't know what he's going to be. He's been in the league for about 3 years now, 8 points per game average, not too really good at the 3-point line. And he does have 1 year left on this current deal if the Memphis Grizzlies elect to, go ahead and accept and pick up his team option for this next season coming up. But I think what's intriguing for me is the Bulls get a specialist that they desperately need. Is it the only move that the Chicago Bulls should look at? Absolutely not. You should be trying to take as many bites at this apple as you can and try to add in as many additions as you can that fit the team and what the Bulls want to do moving forward. Because right now, the Chicago Bulls, to me, appear to be stuck in mud. We've played this continuity game. We played this competitive game. In the last 2 seasons, got us bounced out of the play-in. Didn't even make the playoffs. And then the 1 year that we did make the playoffs, we got 1 victory in the first round. The playoffs are tough, don't get me wrong, but 1 victory and then 2 play-in exits doesn't give me much reason to stick with the current construction of this team. I understand if we go in and garner and bring in some of these younger guys, things might be a little tough early on, but it ain't been as tough. Hasn't it already been tough? So why wouldn't you want to take a step back to take a few steps forwards with hoping and pouring more into your player development staffs and looking, at additional players and seeing the young talent that you have on your team to say, hey, let's see if we can find our next group of guys that can help push this thing forward for the Chicago Bulls. That's my way of thinking. I like Nikola Vucevic to a degree, but I think times have changed. I think it's time for the Chicago Bulls to really, really invest in their center position. That's the starter and the person that's coming off the bench. Yes, I'm throwing Andre Drummond in there as well. I love what Andre Drummond can bring to a team, but I think it's time to go ahead and usher Andre Drummond out of this and allow some new, young, active, talented, physical, young guys to come in here just to kind of change the trajectory of the Chicago Bulls. If we look around the NBA right now, you got the Dallas Mavericks. They have two young, athletic, physical bigs that are lob threats and solid on the defensive side. And with some nice pick and roll, these guys can give you 10, 12, 14 points just basically off putbacks and lob dunks with a little bit of, their own doing to add on to their point totals. You look at a team that was in the playoffs and made it to the second round, the Cleveland Cavs. They did succumb to some injuries within their front court, but they had themselves a Jared Allen out there. You had yourself a young Evan Mobley out there. Young, athletic bigs who can be lob threats, block shots, deflect shots, change shot trajectory, all of the above. You looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves, Karl Anthony Towns. As much smoke that he's getting, along with Rudy Gobert, they have been a focal point to why the Minnesota Timberwolves has the best defense in the NBA, at least statistically right now, in these playoffs. So that's my kind of thinking. I'm thinking it's only so many Jokic's around. It's only so many Joel Embiid's around. Why don't you give yourself an opportunity with having two guys who has some similarities, but can provide you with a little bit of something that's a bit different? So usher out Nikola Vucevic, usher in some young prospect that you could potentially draft, in this draft that's coming up, because it's going to be a bevy of talent. I know there's been a lot of talk saying that this draft is weak, but I've seen some very intriguing young centers who can provide you with something, some more than others, some offensively gifted than others, some more defensively gifted than others, some with a combination of both that you can work on, help tailor to help these young guys continue to grow. Obviously, it's going to be on that player. But if you believe in this system that you are now implementing with this new training staff, bringing in Peter Patton and constantly making updates with the coaching staff, you should be able to find you a big to kind of take the helm and let this young team grow together. There's obviously going to be more moves, but this trade really stands out for me because I think it's time for Nikola Vucevic to find himself a new home. That's just me. I really do. I think it's time for Nikola Vucevic to find a new home. Now, when you talk about the Memphis Grizzlies, is this something that they want to do? I don't know, because they do still have a Steven Adams. Vooch is not on the same level as a Steven Adams defensively, but offensively, he can give you that punch. Offensively, he can help spread the floor to get Triple J, more looks at the basket, help take some pressure off of him just a little bit defensively. You know what I'm saying? Because Vooch is not going to be an elite defensive player, but he can go ahead and give you 12 rebounds. He can go ahead and give you some tough rebounds. We've seen that. It's not like Vooch can't do it. It's just that he hasn't been consistent with it. Maybe it has something to do with winning. Maybe it has something to do with roster construction. Maybe coaching could be a factor in it. It could be a number of things. But I think that if you go along with this trade, it's a win for both teams. That's just me. If you just go on these, you're giving up two players to get one, or you're giving up 1 to get 2, I see it as a win, because the player that you're getting for the Chicago Bulls, you're getting a 3-point specialist within his career, has not shot under 39%. Has not shot under 39% in his career in Luke Kennard. Might not be the best defensive guy, but you don't need him for that. The Chicago Bulls need to space this damn floor and get with the times when it comes to 3-point attempts and 3-pointers made. That's a guy that can help you a little bit more so than just pick or retaining a Nikola Vucevic. You know what I'm saying? Because Luke Kennard, he averages about 6 attempts per game. And if he's making 45% of those of the total, that's a dub. That's a dub. And even if you look at Luke Kennard in the 2022-2023 season, Luke Kennard shot 54% from the 3 off about 6 attempts per game. That's a win for the Chicago Bulls. And then you don't know what you're getting out of Zaire Williamson. This is a forward who's 6'9", 185 pounds, according to ESPN, so he's a bit light. But he fits the mold of what the front office wants. Long wing type of players who can give you something. It seems like that's what they like. You can give you some, and if all hell's, and if it don't work out, he's done. You can get rid of him. He only has 1 year left on the contract. Cool. You wipe your hands with that. You get rid of an aging big, and then you send him off to Memphis, to where Memphis, it could be a win for them because this player can still help. He can still produce. He can still help space the floor with his 3-point shooting. He can still give you some baskets, some little quick bunnies when you need it. If Ja Morant got to find himself out of trouble for a late shot, he can give it to Nikola Vucevic. If it's in that mid-range, he can knock it down on a 3-point shot. Not so much as years before, but he can still hit some of them. So, and it takes pressure off Triple J. So it's a win for both teams, for both franchises. But you all let me know how you feeling about it. I'll personally like the trade. I personally will continue. If I'm the Chicago Bulls, that's going to be one of the ones I jot down, but I will continue to talk to other teams to see if somebody can match it. I know it's going to be some people that say, hey, you got to get draft picks and all that stuff. Look, every trade is not going to result in draft picks. It will be nice, but all trades don't work out like that. So, it is what it is. Who would you throw in the trade? Look, me, I was going to say, hey, if we going shopping, we got to go shopping. Because I was going to say, hey, if you want to give me a young prospect I can work with, that's something I'll be looking for. I'm not too familiar with the Memphis Grizzlies roster, but I would say, hey, what y'all want for Brandon Clark? If we being thirsty, I'm saying what we doing with Brandon Clark. That's just how I'm saying it. But that wasn't the trade that was proposed, and I'm probably sure that the Memphis Grizzlies don't want to get rid of their energy guy in Brandon Clark. And I believe he's coming off an injury as well. So just let me know your thoughts below. Do you like this trade? Could Nikola Vucevic be on the move? Y'all let me know down in the comment box below. Excuse the choppiness with the camera, but we figuring that out. It is what it is. The background is kind of empty. I'm in the process of doing things. If you can put 2 and 2 together, you kind of know what that is. But hit the like button, subscribe to the channel before you get up out of here. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. And I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
Cognac. Gang.